Hi, everybody. My name's Dani Woolf. I'm the CEO of Audience First. Today, I want to go through how I built trust with hundreds of some of the most skeptical IT buyers. So, as marketers, we've been hired to persuade very busy and stressed out practitioners, right, to buy from us and to engage with us. I'm here to tell you to stop doing that. Like I said, my name is Dani Woolf. I accidentally found tech in 2010. 6 of those years were in cybersecurity. I've been through one exit, and I'm proud to say that I pissed off one IT buyer. We'll get to that very shortly. I founded Audience First, which is a customer research agency, in 2022. And fun fact about me, I am borderline obsessed with coffee and ice cream, mostly coffee and ice cream together. So if you do not have coffee or ice cream in the sessions, please, by all means, go get that. Otherwise, this could be just an email. Confession. For nearly a decade as a marketer, I've spent maybe 50% of my time relentlessly trying to persuade my audience to get their attention. And I did that through trivial tasks and tactics that had absolutely no impact on my business or my revenue goals. And what's worse is that it actually had no impact on my customers' experience. In fact, the opposite is true. So what happened next was I became very overwhelmed. I was stressed from those aggressive growth goals. I was worried about my career growth and eventually got so bored doing things that didn't resonate with me or my audience that I burnt out. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, it actually did. I poked the bear. And that bear actually was a customer of mine who was on a call that we had. We were going through a website audit, and I pissed him off because I used a buzzword, and I used that buzzword without context. And I remember him saying, "Whoever said that, take them out back and taser them." And I was taken aback and wondered, okay, well, why was he so upset? I really wanted to understand what the issue was. So I was faced with a really deep dilemma, right? I could take the blue pill and the story ends, wake up in my bed tomorrow and do the exact same things over and over again. Or I could take the red pill and go down to a new world and see how deep that rabbit hole goes. And I just wanted the truth, right? So I took that red pill. I knew I could handle the truth. And I eventually asked that customer who I upset, why? Why did I piss you off? Right? Questions like, what didn't work for you? Right? What could I have done differently? How does that different approach impact your goals? What are your goals? Right? I became so obsessed with asking questions and getting feedback that I made it my commitment to dedicate time and dedicate really every week to learning how to interview my ideal customers so that I can never feel the way I did when I pissed off my buyer, and so that I could never cause that customer to be disgruntled and have them feel that frustration. So fast forward today to this session, this great session, Demand 2024. And despite the consistent year over year recommendations that I've put out there to do customer research, to give free insights to my community, to talk about this on the podcast, many of us, despite all that, many of us still do this. Now, take this in for a moment, right? We're doing this among other things that are pissing off our buyers. Now, shout out to Clark Barron, who actually let me use this meme. He created this. He's probably, I think, a speaker at Demand 2024. So given this situation that we've probably all been through at some point in our career, does it mean that we're bad marketers? I don't think so. Does it mean that we've failed as an industry? I also don't think so. What I think it means is that we've just gotten super comfy in our echo chamber, right? We've gotten so used to these trivial habits that are bad for us and that don't resonate with our buyers. We stay in our comfy, fuzzy marketing caves that we also love to stay in. But to succeed in exponentially growing, right, and scaling our business, and most importantly, helping our customers, we need to affect change. And affecting change is hard, right? We need to stop pushing for that attention, and we need to start pulling attention and put our audience first, right? We need to go back to those foundations, and to do that, though, I need your help, and this is why I am here. So, what are we going to be talking today about today? We're going to be covering why IT buyers are so skeptical. What does trust look like, and how did I engage, acquire, and retain some of the most skeptical buyers in in the tech space? IT buyers. Why are they skeptical? Let's go through some of the main reasons that have that I've distilled from hundreds of customer conversations with IT practitioners. Complex purchasing decisions. We know that a lot of IT buyers are purchasing enterprise products. Those are long sales cycles. They are multi-million dollar deals. There's an increase in misinformation and disinformation in the markets, right? That largely comes from the vendors. A lot of the vendors, utilize outdated, aggressive, and shady marketing and sales tactics, which then lead to overpromising and under-delivering. And unfortunately, a surprising insight is that even though customers do get acquired, right, they purchase a solution or a tool, they then get ghosted after purchase, which is unfortunate. And this is also an interesting insight that I've heard from some practitioners is that um, there are professional and personal implications for engaging with vendors. If they choose the wrong tool, that could impact their job. Or if they've done something wrong in their business, right, they could eventually also go to jail. That's actually happened. So, what do we do about this, right? We build trust with our buyers. But how do we do that, right? And this is what we're going to go through. Um, I want to give you a little bit of an overview of how I did this in the last few years from being that disgruntled marketer to being a somewhat successful marketer, I think, building trust and credibility with hundreds of practitioners. I like to go through an inner shift first. Before we can actually persuade buyers and actually ask for something from them, we have to look at ourselves and we have to nurture these inner characteristics. These three inner characteristics are curiosity, empathy, and likability. Once you've mastered and nurtured these three characteristics, then you can start becoming trustworthy. And then you can shift to an outer shift, right? You can move to the outer shift. That outer shift is the active listening, it's understanding our customers, it's building those authentic connections, which then leads you to creating value for your customers and your buyers. Now, an important part of the process of the inner shift and the outer shift is also, leading towards self actualization, the best part of us, the better part of us, right? And self actualization also means you have an understanding that you got to where you are, but maybe you're not a fit right now. Maybe it's not the right time to engage with a buyer, right? Having that awareness is critical in building trust with practitioners. Now, I'm going to give you a few tips. These are actually verbatim tips and recommendations from customers that I've interviewed over the past few years. How do I start a conversation with a practitioner and a skeptical practitioner without getting tasered? First and foremost, instill a people over profits mindset. The one thing that really resonates with me to this day is if you focus on the people and you care about the people, the profits will come. Be curious, research about your customers, right? It takes 5 minutes, go on LinkedIn, and then, initiate an informal interaction. It doesn't have to be talking about your company or your solution, but hey, I just want to get to know you. Let's hop on a quick 15-minute call and say hey, right? Or let's go for tacos and beers, or let's go for tea, right? Create unique experiences for specific audience segments, right? Teach them new things on their own terms, right? We talked about pushing versus pulling for attention on their own terms. Don't push in inconvenient times for them, right? Avoid ambulance chasing at all cost. We don't want people to feel bad. They're already stressed. Avoid excessive jargon and buzzwords. Now, speaking of buzzwords, I had a great conversation with a CISO a couple of years ago, and he told me if you want to start conversations with practitioners who are super skeptical, you need to really understand and reach out to people who actually, do buzzword bingos and can see through the message. And I was like, okay, well, what really are buzzwords, right? First and foremost, they're popular terms or phrases, they're trends, advancements in the spaces, they're cultural shifts. So, story time, I had an idea when I was talking to this person and they were telling me that I have to reach out to these people. I said, well, what if I actually walk in the buyer's shoes instead? Right. And I actually do this process and do this exercise of buzzword bingo. challenge accepted. So I went to RSA, which is one of the larger security conferences in the world, and I scanned the whole floor and did buzzword bingo. Well, I take it back. I didn't scan the whole floor. I thought I scanned the whole floor, but I actually scanned 353 booths with a partner of mine. We did that. That's 52%, I think, of the floor. We did that in 3 days. We had 2 thrown out backs. We had 4 swollen feet, and definitely carpal tunnel. Thousands of desk stares, mostly from booth representatives. And on top of that, we also surveyed 50 security buyers to create a conference messaging and analysis report from buyers. And what we found is that the majority of vendors in this space are using buzzwords. Notably, 13% of those are using 5+ buzzwords in their top line messaging at the booth. And so we realized that there's a huge gap between what buyers expect and what vendors are actually displaying on the conference floor. Of those buzzwords were AI, ML, zero trust, next gen, blockchain, cloud security, XDR, and turnkey. And then when we actually interviewed and surveyed our buyers, we extracted the data that they're mostly interested at these events. They're mostly interested in business outcomes. They're interested in customer stories over tech specs and features, right? They want to also learn about these industry trends and benchmarks. But again, these skeptical buyers are into maintaining progress, right? And in order to maintain progress, you need to understand their business. In order to understand their business, you need to learn about them. And in order to learn about them, you need to establish trust. So how do I actually get a skeptical IT practitioner to buy from me? More advice from these qualitative interviews that I've had with customers. Be honest about what your product can and cannot do, and be as concise as possible. Show, don't just tell, and do that in 2 minutes or less, right? These people don't have time. Set pricing expectations early and before POCs, right? And when you do get to that POC process, make sure that it's frictionless and secure as well, right? You're working with skeptical buyers, innately distrustful. You have to make sure you're secure and frictionless. This next step is by far, I think, one of the most powerful pieces of advice I've gotten. Nurture those relationships to take your pipeline with you wherever you go next. This specific buyer said, you need to own your PAR, PARR. We're all interested in ARR, but potential annual recurring revenue can go with you everywhere, right? Now, how do I actually retain IT customers and turn them into loyal advocates, which is a great way to save dollars and scale your business, right? Don't ghost them. Let's be real. They bought your solution. They went through the long sales cycle. Don't ghost them and only reach out to them for renewals. Maintain that relationship. Build loyalty through responsiveness and technical collaborations, especially when, there are issues throughout the process of onboarding or through using the product. Sponsor peer-to-peer communities or activities, right? They always need to learn. Continuous learning is huge in the tech space. So you always want to be enriching their continuous development. And most importantly, be here for the full journey, not just the sale. I mean, don't only rely on customer service, right? You've established that relationship. You've helped your prospect and your customer get through a process. Continue that relationship with them, right? Check in every now and then. And I think the most important thing is when talking to buyers and establishing those relationships and building trust is take that feedback to heart, right? You want to be vulnerable. You want to be accepting constructive criticism. And if you're letting people talk and you're listening actively, they may return. So I spent the last 3 years really going through this whole process. And in doing so, I was able to move away from being that disgruntled and really burnt out marketer, demand gen marketer, to building trust with many senior executives, all the way down to, the lieutenants and the boots on the ground practitioners. I've built credibility. I've built growth, not just for me internally and personally, but in the companies that I've worked for. That trust also was built inside my company. So I got a seat at the table. and impacted pipeline, brought deals to the table. Unfortunately, didn't get commission, but did bring deals to the table and was able to do that more predictably because I knew what levers to pull on. So I urge you to take this advice. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well. This is my QR code. I'll be happy to show you some of my playbooks. I'll be happy to show you some of the products we built for you in order to get access to some skeptical buyers. And yeah, I appreciate all the time that you've taken to listen to me today. Thank you very much for a wonderful session and have a great day.